Bring in White House correspondent Mary Alice Parks and our ABC News contributors, former Republican Congresswoman Barbara Comstock of Virginia, Amanda Renteria, the former national political director for Hillary Clinton's 2016 campaign, and legal analyst Kim Whaley. They all join me live now. Thank you so much for being here. Mary Alice, let's start with you. Sources have confirmed to ABC News that the committee is in possession of emails between former Trump lawyer John Eastman, who was the alleged architect of legal strategy to overturn the election, and Ginny Thomas, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. How could these communications come into play and make an impact in this hearing?
Yeah, Phil, this is a really big deal. I think it's important to remind people who exactly John Eastman was. Like you said, a lawyer that was working closely with the Trump legal team. He had apparently helped concoct this idea that the former vice president could single-handedly try to overturn the election results and keep the president in office back then. But he was also a part of the legal team that was pushing to get some of these challenges in front of the Supreme Court, in front of Clarence Thomas, Justice Thomas. So the idea that he was emailing with Clarence Thomas's wife is something this committee is going to want to look at and is probably going to want to present to the American people because it is shocking. And a reminder, too, about how the committee got these documents. They had subpoenaed for these records from John Eastman. He fought that in court and he lost. Judges said that he had to turn over these documents to the committee. And so the committee has just been receiving these documents and they are starting to go through them. And that is why we are learning this, why we have some of these new revelations, Phil.
Kim, today's hearing, we are told, will focus on the theory that Pence could unilaterally reject electors and Trump's pressure on his vice president to do so, even as aides were telling him it was illegal. What does the committee need to do to, I don't know, to prove that, to show the American people the extent of it?
Well, we've seen now the last hearing the dueling sets of facts on whether the election was stolen. Donald Trump was told it is not, as a factual matter, there's no evidence of fraud. What we will hear today is, as you indicate, the legal story that Mike Pence's lawyers told him and people in the White House, lawyers, told Donald Trump. There is no power under the Constitution for a single human being in the name of the vice presidency to take an election and to snatch it from the states through the Electoral College. There is no legal justification for that. Donald Trump was getting bogus legal advice. He was getting bogus factual advice. And we'll see in the second stage of this, stage one is planning, stage two is execution. We'll see what happened because Donald Trump ignored the law and ignored the facts, and that is violence. That is the second part of this story. Part three is the cover-up, and then part four is what do you do about it? And I think what we're seeing across the country is now the claim of fraud is going to be used to commit fraud moving forward in elections. That's the damage that Donald Trump has done to our electoral system going forward.
And Barbara, what do you make of the former vice president giving a speech in Ohio today while his aides will be testifying? Do you think he acknowledges the hearing? Should he? Is this a political play? Is this walking a tightrope? You guys go do this while I do this?
Well, I certainly hope that he will point out, as he has before, that Trump is and was wrong. I think this is probably the most important day of testimony because it shows how the president wasn't just getting bad advice. He was seeking it, and then he was directly himself pressing it on Mike Pence, trying to shake him down like a mafioso, like, I'm not going to like you if you don't do this. Then he goes in front of the crowd and says he's got to do it. This was the last stand because he had already failed with DOJ. He had failed with the state electors putting in alternate electors. And then he had also failed, on those 60 court cases. So he was now trying to personally get Pence to say unilaterally he himself is going to do this. And he continued even after the Capitol was under siege at 2:24 when he sent that text attacking Mike Pence. And then the White House kept calling people, like, remember they called Senator Tuberville. It was on Mike Lee's line. And Rudy Giuliani and probably Steve Bannon. We're still trying to pull this back and seeing how they could delay the certification. So it was the president directing it. and seeking and wanting false, bogus advice and just getting people who would do it for him, and thankful that we had people at every point, a few good men and women who said no.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to hear a lot of that today. Amanda, former President Trump issued a 12-page statement, as we know now, on the hearings, calling them illegitimate and one-sided, but didn't respond to any of the details of the committee's allegations. First, what do you make of that, and how effective do you think these hearings have been so far?
So no surprise that Trump has a say or wants to have a say in this. It certainly is clear he's having a reaction because it's working. And here's a couple of things. One, it matters that the story is not just told, but told again and again. So often people really do lose sight of what's happening. They're going through their day-to-day lives. They forgot about this. This felt like a long time ago. Telling the story again in a clear way with depth, with linking the dots for folks is important. So the fact that we're here again talking about it one more time is a really important piece. So the length of this hearing is extremely important to get into people's minds about what happened with the clarity. The second is who tells the story. And the reality is today, I agree with Barbara, this is an important day because you are hearing from Mike Pence, because you are hearing the story directly about Trump and Mike Pence and what happened on that very day and leading up to it. And so, this is one of those things that we got to keep telling the story so that people can draw the facts, put them together in a way they never have before.
Amanda Renteria, Barbara Comstock, Kim Whaley, and of course, Mary Alice Parks, thank you all. Do appreciate it. And we will have full team coverage of today's hearing starting at 1 p.m. Eastern right here.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.